Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, and it's our time for the spiritual light. Today, it is Charles and I. Silvia is on holidays. I hope she's enjoying her time off. And meanwhile, Charles and I will be here trying to hold everything as it is. So, today's topic it is autonomy or heteronomy. And as usual, we go through a video, then we go through our conversation about it. Perhaps it not take like 1 hour, but we will try our best in order to answer questions. Please write your questions, talk to us. Otherwise, you're gonna be very, very sad. Just listen me and Charlie's talking here. So please interact with ourselves, and this is gonna be good for us. Okay, so Faucha, my Irish friends, and bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Stevan. Bonsoir, everyone. I'm very happy to be here again with you, talking about this important subject. Heteronomy, autonomy, law of liberty, which is quite important. It's one of the natural laws that Kardec presented in the Spirit's book, Book Third, amongst others. It's also a favorite subject of our dear Léon Denis. And okay, let's try to understand a little bit better together what it is about.
Sure, sure. So let me prepare the video here. Let me show the video. Let me increase my screen here. Share my window. There we go.
Spirits are the intelligent beings of creation. So, you are a spirit. We are spirits. Let's explore together our origin and nature. We are God's work, and we were formed from the intelligent element of the universe. But the exact process of our creation is still a mystery. Each spirit was created individually and evolves through the kingdoms of nature, where it learns to master instinct, attains intelligence, and from it, free will. The spirit is surrounded by a substance that we call perispirit. Peri from the Greek meaning around. The spirit gets its perispirit from each globe's own universal fluid. In passing from one world to another, spirits change their envelope just as you change your clothes. Spirits are everywhere. There are even some who are constantly at your side, observing and acting upon you without you being aware of it. This is because spirits are one of the powers of nature and one of the instruments that God uses for fulfilling the providential designs.
Okay. So, nice video from Spirits Academy. It's a new video from them. I thought it was good for us because for today's topic, one crucial information we're giving the video. We were created individually, simple and ignorant. So this, unless Charles don't agree with me, this is the kickoff for our conversation today. But before our conversation, I'd like to just differentiate what it is autonomy and what it is heteronomy. Autonomy, it is the individuals, the spirits, they have the freedom to make their own choices and decisions. This is very simple definition. Heteronomy, it is when the individuals are influenced or governed by external factors rather than making independent and self-directed choices. That's the main difference between heteronomy and autonomy. And we want to, why we brought this conversation to our topic today, because it is so important for us to understand how important it is to express our desires, to express our feelings, to be us. Anyway, don't nobody needs to conduct us, say no, don't say this, don't ask that, don't behave like that. So you need to ask when you have a question. You need to speak when you to speak. And you also, in the other hand, you need to respect when someone is asking questions, they are in doubts. That's why we have the different levels. That's why we are in these up and downs. If we start to respect everyone stage, things gonna be very easy for ourselves. So, Charles, this is my introduction. So, if you want to give yours.
Yeah, well done, Steven. You're absolutely correct. And we should add that one thing which is differentiating animals from human, on the earth at least, as taking this as an example, is the animal are mostly driven by instinct, and the human are mostly driven by intelligence. Okay, so the animal which is driven by instinct, okay, it can be free in the forest or whatsoever, but he is somehow driven by the instinct, or there is no reasoning behind the instinct. Albeit the instinct is something good, which is here to help the animals surviving, for instance, when they are afraid, and or they when run away when they see a danger, or the instinct of reproduction as well, the instinct of the mother to take care about the recent birth animals and so on, recent born animals, all these instincts we can see that they are good, and they are here to help the species to survive and to develop themselves. In the human, it's changing. So we have been created, as Steven said, simple and ignorant, or better said, without science, without intelligence. So at the beginning, when we go back to the prehistoric Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon primates, they were also mostly driven by instinct. But the potential of development of the intelligence was bigger, and the intelligence developed along the millenniums, along the centuries, and more particular nowadays. Okay, so what happens is the intelligence with the time is overcoming the instinct somehow. For instance, I give you a very simple example. When you are in a room and of a sudden there is a fire or an explosion, what do? We follow our instinct and we move out in order to be safe. But what does a fireman do? He has the intelligence and training to fight and to mitigate and to extinguish the fires, or whatever other type of danger. So he does not run away. At the opposite, he's facing the problem and using his intelligence, mitigating it. So here you can see how to say the difference between instinct and intelligence, and how with the time, the more the intelligence develops, the more it is substituting the instincts. So why do I talk about instinct and intelligence? Because we can understand that the autonomy can only develop, or in other words, the autonomy or the liberty can only develop together with the evolution of the spirit. The animal, for instance, he may be free in the forest, but is he really autonomous? Does he really do whatever he consciently wants? No, it's not the case. He's following the instinct. We know with domestic animals that we can educate them a little bit in order to overcome the instinct, but in a certain limit. And in that certain point in time, the instinct will prevail again. Okay, so basically, this notion of autonomy and heteronomy, it's also coming with the evolution. When you look in the ancient times, or even in the Middle Age, you had some people which were dominant and some others which were somehow following, or even slavery, or people which were manipulated and dominated by other type of hierarchies, like the religious hierarchies, the churches. They came, they encouraged the heteronomy in the people, saying, you have to do what I ask you to do, otherwise you will go to hell. And to hell you will burn for the rest of the times. If you want to go to the paradise, you have to do what I tell you to do. So it's a very basic mean of making the people afraid and dominating and manipulating them. So the people who are manipulated are not autonomous. They are following heteronomy. Of course, the times have changed. Nowadays, we can say, but there is no slavery anymore, and the churches have lost a lot of their power. Okay, but there are some other type of manipulations. For instance, economical things or material things, and we have the cookies now in the computer everywhere. As soon as you search for something, you receive a lot of stuff around what you are searching. A lot of people trying to sell you things that you don't need. And the people who are still following the heteronomy, but they are buying even things that they don't need just because they are induced or manipulated in the way to buy them. The people which are autonomous is totally opposite. They will think about and say, no, I don't follow that, full stop. I don't need that, I will not buy that, or whatever. So this is where we see that, how to say, to conquer autonomy, we need to have discernment. We need to have intelligence for this. We need also, how to say it, a degree of evolution. And that is how really we managed to get rid a little bit, not completely, of the heteronomy and to conquer the autonomy. And we can see this also along the time. You see the American Revolution, the French Revolution a couple of years later, and the British and wherever in the world. What was the French Revolution, for instance? The motto is Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. So liberty is, we want autonomy. This is what we want. We want to stop being manipulated by kings or queens. We want to stop being manipulated by bishops or churches or whatever. We want to conquer our liberty. So unfortunately, at that time, it was quite violent. You do not get rid of centuries of manipulation and domination of kings and churches from one day to the other, just like this, just asking for it. There is a need of fight for it. And that was the French Revolution. And even so, the first victories, then there were some oscillations. The regimes in France changed 5 or 6 times in the centuries after the revolution, including with an emperor, then coming back of the king, and then again a new revolution with the Second Republic, and then again Napoleon III, and so on. So there were really several. It took something like 100 years until there was the Third Republic, where the French citizens got, how to say, some democratic regime and some liberty of expression, liberty of thoughts, and so on. So that is, how to say, how this heteronomy and autonomy is moving along the time. Still today, there are a lot of people, they do not want to think about, they need someone they trust in to tell them what they have to do and not to do. That's why you have still people in the churches. That's why you have people even asking, going to see, for instance, some mediums which ask for money, and asking the medium, what shall I do? What shall I not do? And so on. So somehow delegating their liberty to someone else. So refusing to go in this direction of autonomy. And one big step that Kardec made with the Spiritist body of knowledge, with the Spiritist philosophy, is exactly this move to liberty. And that's why the law of liberty is one of the 10 natural laws. The law of liberty is in the nature. And this is really something which characterizes the progress. And yes, I was telling that you need a referential also for this liberty, because the liberty of the humankind is not absolute. Our liberty stops where it restrains the liberty of our neighbor. Because if our neighbor is also restraining our liberty, nobody is free anymore, you know. So the liberty has limits because we are in a society. We are the only thing where we are absolutely free is the liberty of thoughts, but the liberty of actions is definitively not total on earth. Why? Because we have some duties to some respect that we have to give to the other humans, to our neighbors. But I think I talked too much, Stevan. Let me hand back to you in order to complement and to twist or to enter a little bit more in detail in some of the aspects of this quick overview.
Yeah, my friend. Yeah. And just to clarify to everyone, what we're talking today is not something new. This is not new in the spiritism. This is not new in the humankind. As far as I know, Charles, and what I have reference, this kind of conversation started with Immanuel Kant in the 19th century, even before Kardec. This not spiritism brought new. No, this is not new. This is a philosophy, and according to my research, unless someone here point out something different, Immanuel Kant was one of the the, the, the philosophers who defended the idea of this autonomy. Uh, because they call the Kantian ethics places a significant emphasis on the concept of autonomy. And he says where the moral agents act in accordance with the rational moral law. So this is before Kardec. I emphasize this because I don't want anyone say we are talking this because Spiritism brought this idea. No, Spiritism didn't brought this idea. Spiritism just, let's say, reinforced the idea. That's what Spiritism is doing here. Kardec reinforced. Kardec was always reinforcing the idea, giving us, hey, look, this is the way it should be. Not always, oh, this is how you have to do. No. Kardec and the spirits give an advice. If you want to follow, happy days. If you don't want to follow, happy days as well. Okay, so and this acting according to the moral law, it is naturally the opposite from the Heteronomy, where actions are influenced by external factors. If you do a simple Google search about Immanuel Kant, this is what you're going to read about him. And we are talking about, again, someone who lived from, if I'm not wrong, 1720 something until 1804 something. I think 1804. That when he died. And his books is important to read, and there is no basis. It's way before the spiritism. Also, we need to defend the idea where we can express ourselves. Like, for example, when you educate a child and you always cutting off this child, blocking their, when they try to express themselves, to say, no, 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 stop it. You don't know anything. You don't know. So you are, when this child become a grown-up, they will have serious problems to express themselves, to do what they want to do. They always need someone to tell them what they need to do, where they need to go, how to behave. But the opposite is, if you don't put any rules to raise a child, it's a problem as well. Because this could be a person without limits, you know? So what we saying here, and what is the factor who put these two extremes in a common point? The moral law. And where is the moral law? What it is the moral law? Is the natural law. Where is stored the natural law? In our conscious. So we know what is right, what is wrong. We know a baby, for example. Charles, we have a child, so we know how it is. A baby, like months of age, not years, months. If the parents let the baby control the parents by crying, by doing a lot of things, and this action, it is unconscious, but it is in their it's not conscious, it's not rational, it is a natural. So it is their conscious acting upon their rationality. This is important for us to understand, that the moral law, it is not the limiting factor, but I don't want to be redundant here, but it is the moral factor who will guide us, who will tell us, do it. Like if you're gonna harm someone, the natural question is, oh, I'm so happy because I could play with this person and scam this person, I got like $1,000, $10,000. This is right. The person who did it perhaps is saying, "Oh, this is they have a lot of excuse. I'm doing this because it's not right. Some people, a lot of people are rich, poor, lots of people are poor, blah blah blah." So they can give you a lot of explanations, but at the end, they know this is not right. They know this is not right. And in consequence of our actions, when we don't listen the moral law, it is suffering. But it is easy to say it is God trying to punish me because I did something wrong. Instead, you raise your hand and say, "Hey, I screw up." So it's easy to point the fingers and say, "Oh, this is God punishing me. This is God acting very weird, very wrongly with me."
Or the materialist saying it's bad luck.
It is bad luck. Yes.
The
Yes.
atheist. Huh?
Exactly. Exactly. So this is the point we want to say. We always try to find an excuse to justify our actions instead of raise the hands and say, "Hey, I need help. Hey, I screw up here. I need to fix this. What I need to do. What I need to. We call this the self hygiene. No, because if we uh, 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 in I don't know, but what they call this in Portuguese, Charles? It is the not self reflection. It is the oh my gosh.
You have the word in Portuguese?
No, I'm trying to find the word in Portuguese because
Ah,
reforma íntima.
moral reform.
Yeah, but the point is, if you put the word, even in Portuguese, reforma íntima or inner reform, whatever you want to translate in Kardec's book or all this, you will not find this. But if you put the word moral, you'll find a lot. Even the gospel, even in the Spirit's book.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the moral, is your character, it is yourself need to change.
But we need to specify here, Stevan, that the moral is not this religious moral or this moral sometimes taught by a severe professor in the school or whatever. The moral is just defined the harmony with the natural law. Okay.
Yes,
The
perfect.
good is all what is in harmony with the natural law, and the evil or the bad is all what is not in harmony. And this is the beauty of autonomy is to go to make the decisions by ourselves, to know, because there are two things also linked to that. We are free to do whatever we want. We are free. We have the free will to decide what to do and what not to do. But as soon as we have taken the decision, we have also the corresponding responsibility. We are responsible for the choice we have made. We cannot say somebody else did it for me, And this is exactly this escape route where the people are sometimes reluctant to go to autonomy and stay to the heteronomy. If something goes wrong, he sent me to do that, so it's not my fault. All this just trying to escape from the responsibility. And this is why the real autonomy is absolutely conscient of this, of the responsibility which goes with this autonomy, and also knowing about the law of action and reaction, the natural laws, basically, If you hit your finger with a hammer, then you have pain. That is not a punishment of God. It's simply the natural laws which are like this. And the natural laws are the same for everyone. So this law of cause and effect teaches you, this is how we learn with the time, with the century, with the years, with the different lives, what is good and what is not good. And this is how progressively we reach this autonomy. Another example you made, Stevan, is talking about children. Are the children autonomous? When they are 2, 3 years old, do you let them cross the road alone? No, you don't. Why? Because they are not autonomous, as the word is saying, because they have not yet the intelligence, they have not yet the discernment about the dangers and whatever. So it's something that you have to teach them so that they become autonomous when they are older. It's not to tell them, for instance, you can cross only when I say you to cross. This is teaching to stay in the heteronomy. You have to teach them. You are still a little bit small, so you need my help. But watch, you see there is a light there. You have to wait until this light is green in order to cross. Nevertheless, I will cross together with you. So there you see the education, and the example you give is already helping and leading this child to become autonomous. And this should be the education. But what do we see today? Do you think the North Korean citizens are autonomous? Do you think even the Russian citizens are autonomous, or the American citizens are autonomous? All of them are heavily conditioned by a model, by a society, by some rules they have to follow to include themselves in the society. The same, I told 3 countries which are maybe a little bit more characteristic, but it is the same everywhere, in France, wherever. All these rules which come imposed by society is all things that try to retain you in this heteronomy. The guy which is really autonomous, I don't say he's anarchical, but he just takes from this rule what is in accordance to the laws of nature and ignores all the rest. The true autonomy and the true liberty, the true freedom can only come together with the evolution. So we have a relative freedom at a certain evolution level, and the more we evolve, the more this level of freedom and of liberty and of autonomy is also increasing. The one who was really almost completely autonomous and following almost no rule from his time was Jesus. And so he made a revolution on earth. The Jewish, he was born in Jerusalem or in Nazareth, and in a country where you had a lot of all these rules from the Jewish and so on. So he was the first one saying, no, you have been told this, but I tell you something else. He brought already, how to say, the first basis for this autonomy. But unfortunately, the Christians later on, the traditional religions, made this principle for Jesus ignored and came again with the dogmas like hell, like the evil, like whatever, in order to continue manipulating the people. So nowadays we really reach a situation in the humankind that we have to react. We really have to move from heteronomy to autonomy. It does not mean cut ourselves completely from the society we are living or live in the alone in the desert. No, we are in the society, but we should really work in order to get rid of all these artificial conditionments, conditioning, and move towards this liberty and this higher harmony with the natural laws, with our planet Earth. And today, with COP28, I don't know if the conclusion came out last night or this morning early or whatsoever. You see, a lot of people say, hey, we cannot continue like that, but I would like to continue like that because, and so on. And you have a, how to say that in English, wishy-washy, yes, but no, but yes, kind of fuzzy decision, which basically, okay, let's follow a little bit these people claiming for that because otherwise we will be cut, but not too much because we want to continue with our interests,
Yeah.
And this is all but autonomy. So
It-
we
it-
really have to react against these things and to say, okay, we cannot continue like this. It's nonsense.
Charles, it is like, let's stop the war. Okay, if you really want to stop the war, seize all the war industry. Get rid of all this industry. Put a high tax to them. Do something. The government will do something. Then you will stop the war because this become a financially not viable to produce weapons. But what they do, in one time they say, "Oh, stop the war," but with one hand, and the other hand, they're keeping getting money, they're keeping incentivizing, they're keep doing this. So what's the point? I like this example. How to differentiate autonomy and autonomy. Let's say the law say don't steal. If you don't steal because you believe it's wrong, this is autonomy. But if you steal, you don't steal because you are afraid of to being caught. This is an external factor that influencing your behavior. This is autonomy.
Exactly.
And I
with
didn't know, but
autonomous people, Stevan, with autonomous people, you don't need laws anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody will respect. You don't need radars on the road because everyone will respect.
Yeah.
It's a neighbor.
And I didn't know Marco Davis is contributing with us today, and he said that Fernando Pessoa, a Portuguese poet, in his famous poems, he always referred to the connection of the spiritual to spirits through various bodies, poetic talked. So I didn't know that. Thank you, Marco, for your input here. I will research more about it. And good to know that Fernando Pessoa also gave us some material to contribute with this. Also, our dear Elsa is with us. My dear Elsa, thank you for being here with us. We're missing you. And so let me see if we have any other questions here.
So, Stevan,
Yeah.
really the Spiritist philosophy and the Spiritist body of knowledge is encouraging the freedom. Many times the people have said, no, Spiritism is a sectarian movement and so on. But no, sectarian movements are just exactly reducing the liberty of the people. What is Spiritism doing? Spiritism is teaching that liberty is a natural law. So we have to cope with it in order to be in harmony with the natural laws. So it's absolutely the opposite. The Spiritist body of knowledge is bringing some information, offering information to everyone who wants, leaving the person absolutely free and autonomous to analyze it, to accept it or not, to adhere to it or not, or to reject it. Spiritism is just teaching, offering some teaching, is not imposing anything. And this is also, how to say, behaving in the true sense of autonomy.
Law of progress. it is with us. Please read Law of Progress in the book, in the Spirit's book, in the fourth book of the Spirit's book, Law of Progress. Everyone, if you want or if you don't want, you will progress. The difference is some people will progress faster than the others. And this factor, the autonomy and the heteronomy, have a huge influence how you will progress.
It goes also with the free will, isn't it? Some
Yeah.
people have a will to work and to progress and to learn and to study. Some others are lazy and they don't want to do anything. It's the
Yeah.
freedom of everyone. You cannot learn and progress on behalf of someone else. That's not possible. You cannot delegate this. This is really the work we have to do ourselves. When I was talking at the beginning, as the people delegating to another person what they should, their liberty and their autonomy. Uh, Again, this is necessary as long as the people, they do not have the capacity to analyze, to discern, and so on. They need someone like the child. I gave the example. Needs someone who guides them. But that is must be only temporary. We
Yeah.
really have to work and have to have the will to become free, to get this autonomy, to get this liberty. Knowing, of course, that the price for it is we are responsible for what we are doing. And I can tell you, it's something which is very interesting because when we do something wrong, we have taught about this law of cause and effect. You do something wrong, or you do something bad, or you harm someone, or whatever. What are normally the steps which follows this? The first step is, oh, it was not me. Or it was not my fault. You search for excuses. The second step is when you really become more aware that you have no excuse, that it was yourself, is you are really putting a lot of guilt on yourself. So you are somehow coming from the, no, it's not my fault, to the, oh, I'm guilty, I'm bad, I am not worth anything, and so on. So these two steps, which generally follow one to the other, will not help you to solve the problem. In order to solve the problem, you need first to get conscious that you have done something wrong. You also must have the what's the name in English? Arrepender. C'est arrepender. Arrependimento in English.
Regret.
You have to regret what you have done. And this is a regret, not crying because I'm guilty, because I'm not good, because whatever, but the thing, okay, I've done something wrong. What can I do now in order to get out of this situation? So it's a proactive regret, a regret that motivates you autonomously again to fix the problem you have caused. And then there is two other phases that Kardec is telling. The expiation is you will feel it in your own skin, in your own on yourself. The time which is necessary in order you change your mental state in order to never reincidate in the same mistake. And then comes the repair. So you have to repair the harm and the problems you have caused. Once you get through all these steps, autonomously again, not forced by anyone or under threat of anyone or being attracted by some reward by anyone, when you do them autonomously, then you have completely wiped the error, the mistake you have done. And that is when you can claim, yes, I have done a lot of mistakes, but I have repaired them already. And now I continue my work on the way of the progress. And this is also everything about this autonomy. You can, the only one who can repair a mistake that he has done or a harm that has caused is the person herself. You
Yeah.
also something. It's also something that you cannot buy or that you cannot delegate. It requires your will and your action, your autonomous action.
Your autonomous action. Yeah, exactly. And it's important to say as well, we always think in order to progress, we need a leader. No, oh, we need a leader. We need someone to guide us. Yes, follow Jesus.
Yes,
Read.
Jesus, and we have a lot of them.
Yeah, no, well,
Follow Gandhi, follow Martin Luther King, follow whoever,
exactly.
follow Kardec,
Read
follow.
the Gospel according to Spiritism, in which Kardec emphasized the book entirely on the moral actions from Jesus,
Moral teachings, yes.
moral teachings. Yeah,
Mm. Which, by the
that's
way,
it.
are totally consistent with the Ten Commandments. Which, by the way, are totally consistent with the moral laws of the Vedas and of the Quran and wherever. No, they are all consistent across themselves.
Yeah,
The biggest differences are one is praying like this, the other one is praying like that. One is has some white clothes, the other one has this stuff, external stuff, which has been introduced by humans, and that is why. I mean, when we get autonomy, I was educated Catholic, but when I grew up, when I became a teenager, I made some questions and I could not receive my questioning, which were really turning around in my head, for which I could not get proper answers. So I just took some distance because it did not answer to the questioning I had. Uh, and when a couple of years later I read the first Spirit book, and so, okay, this is a book which really brings a lot of answers. Not all, of course, because a lot of things we are not able to understand yet at our current evolution level. But it brings a lot of answer. It is absolutely constant and it is encouraging. It does not ask you to follow Kardec or to follow the Spirit's book or to do what's written in the Spirit book. That's not what the thing. It just encourages you to do the good. Out of charity, there is no salvation. And what is charity? Is love, is all these sentiments which are in harmony with the natural laws. So really the spiritist body of knowledge, there I discovered this autonomy. I discovered it a little bit earlier, for instance, at school. When you're at school, okay, you have to follow this is a program, blah blah, tac tac tac, these are the steps you have to. You are somehow like on a rail, that you cannot go out of the rail. You have to follow a path which is somehow imposed. But again, once you enter in the university, or in my case in the engineering school, there also I discovered, okay, here we have a lot of things. You can choose whatever path you want to go or not to go, and really teaching autonomy. And this is exactly, it came even a little bit too late. We should teach this autonomy much earlier. And I think even in education, there is a lot of progress still to be done in this way, to to work in order to educate the autonomy in the children's or in the teenagers, the way to develop what is nowadays called their spiritual intelligence.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. When we realize that we are on the same path, just wearing different clothes, different hats, different languages, but at the end is the same thing. Once we realize there's no difference between north and south, east and west,
Male and female,
male and female.
the same spirits.
Once we realize it, there is no poor, poor and rich. Like spirits don't have pockets. Like poor and rich, it's the same point.
We
It is-
understand that there are some which are more advanced and some which are a little bit behind, less advanced.
Yes,
And these
yes,
very more advanced are the one we just talked about. These examples, these guides, these models that we have that we get from time to time regularly. These are the leaders, not imposed by themselves, not auto-declared, but universally recognized through their actions, through their goodness, through their intelligence. This is who makes the real
and
leader,
through their examples as well.
and through their example and behavior, which is totally consistent with what they are teaching.
Yes.
It's not do what I say, but don't do what I do. It's the opposite.
Yeah, this
You
is
know,
funny.
also this difference between manager and leader. We are
Yeah.
overmanaged and underled in a lot of circumstances at work or wherever else. And what is a manager doing? You have to tell what I instruct you to do. If you do it, you will get some reward. If you don't do it, you will get some punishment or you will be fired. You see, it's a manager behaving like this is typically needs heteronomous people.
Yeah.
What is the leader doing? The leader is motivating the staff, be with them, join them, go together to reach objectives that everyone shares autonomously with this spiritual intelligence, as it is called today. And this is at the end where you get much better result out of the staff, out of a team, out of a person which works with you. A person which is doing something because you ask him and he's not convinced or whatever will not do it as good as a person who
Yeah.
is convinced and who is then autonomously following and doing whatever you ask him to do.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
And Charles, I think in these last 5 minutes, we can say we reach a point in which talking about spiritual intelligence, it is key. It is so important.
Yes. Yeah. And spiritual intelligence is really something who popped up, I would say, a little bit more than a decade ago. And really, when you look to the principles, what is spiritual intelligence? I have seen a debate of some people say, yeah, but spiritual, when you talk about spiritual, it's religions, right? No, absolutely nothing to see with religion. You have religious people with a very poor spiritual intelligence, and you have atheist and materialistic people with a very high spiritual intelligence.
Yes.
And what is spiritual intelligence? Abnegation, collaboration, brotherhood, seeing how to say, joining the efforts to get the better the results, inspiring, having a vision not limited without blinds, but have a wider, a more lateral view. So it's
Yeah.
everything. What comes up out of this spiritual intelligence notion, which comes totally out of any religious belief, or even totally out of spiritist body of knowledge or spiritualist body of knowledge, it's just coming like this. And why? Because it's again in the laws of nature. And we as spiritists, we see this spiritual intelligence coming. When I saw it, spiritual intelligence at work, I was almost crying, saying, wow, I would really loved to have worked in such an ambient, in such a team. Unfortunately, I never had this chance, or
Next
I don't
incarnation.
say it. I had a lot of managers like this, like I just caricaturized a little bit before. But really autonomous one. I had some people coming close, but how to say, only today it's that it is really getting a bigger development, and a lot of people talk now about IQ, the intellectual quotient, about EQ, the emotional quotient. You may be intelligent, but what do you do with your intelligence? Are you capable to share? Are you capable to control your emotions? Are you capable to negotiate with a customer or with a partner in order to reach an agreement? This EQ is also important. And now they come and say SQ, spiritual quotient, which is even more important than the two others. Are you a good person? Are you collaborating? Or are you, at the opposite, someone which wants always to push, the blanket on your side, someone only going for competition and things like this? So that's now really the perceptions which grows more and more, a little bit everywhere. And for us, it's really, wow, now it's coming.
Yeah, allow me to read the key components of spiritual intelligence.
Intelligence, please go. Yeah.
Self awareness, the ability to understand one's own values, beliefs, and purpose in life. Compassion, a sense of empathy and concern for the well being of others. Mindfulness, being present in the moment and cultivating awareness of one's thoughts and actions. Humility, recognize the limits of one's knowledge and be open to learn from others. Inner peace, the ability to find tranquility and peace amidst life's challenge. Connection to a higher purpose, feeling connected to a larger, meaningful purpose or source.
Exactly.
You don't need
And
a
this is,
religion to do this.
it is all about autonomy, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's all
You don't.
about
You,
autonomy.
you don't need. You don't need religion. You don't need rules. You don't need anything to do it. And everything I read in these six components, it is in your mind. It is in your conscious. It is in you. You just need to awake this and put in practice.
So, folks, what are we waiting for? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
It's I agree. It's easier said than done, because we still have some rests of selfishness, of pride, and of all these things which are still securing us. We want to take off like a bird, to fly towards the autonomy, and still we have materialism and interests and competition and all these opposite value which are securing us. But once we get conscious of this, then we we are really removing those links which are securing us, and moving towards this autonomy.
Yeah.
And that will be the world of the future. That will be the sustainable future. With autonomous people, probably we would not have needed to go to COP28 to have so wishy-washy results, because we would immediately, everyone react to say, okay, I understood, so I will do my own part, starting with my own part, in order to collaborate to the sustainability of our world and to the survival and even evolution of our humanity. That's the goal we need to have. That's the vision we need to have.
João Paulo Meireles, he put a good thing here for us. Progress cannot be restrained by any means. Even those who engage in malevolence, leaving scars in world history due to their profound harm, will eventually move from darkness towards light.
Yes, sooner or later.
The indelible truth for humanity is that Jesus, with his ineffable love and deeds, cannot be erased and or forgotten.
You see, 2000 years after, we still talk a lot about him, and still admiring once we remove these diamonds out of all the ash and rubbish that has been accumulated around it by humankind. We still can see these diamonds that he left us 2000 years ago. He was really a spirit highly evolved, which brought us these wonderful teachings that we still 2000 years after run behind in order to understand them, and we even run more behind to put them into practice.
Yeah. Okay, Charles. I thought we were gonna no have
No, it's a nice subject. It's really a nice
time
subject.
to talk, but we already
Motivating,
passed the
I
minute.
think, about both you and me, and I hope we transmitted a little bit of this motivation to you, to motivate you also to follow this track towards happiness.
Yes. We are approaching the end of the year. Many of you guys do the well-known analysis of self-analysis, That's why we brought this topic today. Perhaps this is gonna help you to guide your self-analysis, and perhaps you decide to do things different next year. Okay, so let me go through the announcements here. No, wait, I wrong button. Okay, next week we will have it's on the 20th of December, next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Is a special program about Christmas, so we will talk about it because 5 days later it is Christmas time. So perhaps we have like special guests with us. We are trying to bring some people, but everybody's is busy. But let's see. Me and Charles will be here. This I guarantee to you. Also, next year is Camille Flammarion here. So our team, our 12 what I say, our 12 friends here, 12
Fellows,
warriors here. We'll talk about Camille Flammarion, one every month. This includes Charles Caldini, Vanessa Anceloni, Caroline Correia, Roberto Altanabio, Rafael Caldas, Faye Waddington, Humberto Coelho, Cheyenne Martin, Daniel Assisi, Flávio Zanetti, e Munir Gariba. And the first one who will kick off this is our friend Charles on the 7th of January. He will talk about the biography and about the speech Camille did on the Kardec's funeral. It's an interesting topic, well-deserved homage to Camille Flammarion. And this is it from us. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank everyone for your patience. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, João Paulo Meirelles. Thank you, Marco Davis. Thank you, Elsa. Thank you, everyone. Let me see more here. We have here. Eloisa Piccoli. So thank you, everyone, for being here with us. And we will see you next Wednesday, 9 p.m., with the topic about Christmas time. Okay? Thank you. Stay
all
well.
the best.
Have a
God bless.
nice
Au
rest of the
revoir.
week. Merci, Charles.